Hi guys, welcome to this article analysis video. We've got a great Bachi Karkaria article here. As we know, Bachi Karkaria and her articles are very sarcastic, very satirical, right? In a way, this is an article which uses a lot of sarcasm in order to prove a couple of points, right? Things which are wrong with our system, or at least according to the author, things which are not right in our system, right? That's what she wants to point out. And as is the general case with her writing style, right, she takes up something completely unrelated, right? The Academy Awards, the Oscars in this case, and correlates it with the coronavirus pandemic in India. So you can just see the width and the breadth and the width of thought which is being encompassed in this article, right? And how she's making this journey. As a reader, your job here is to understand the subtleties of the references being made. This is not a complicated article in terms of its philosophy, but it's a complicated article in terms of its writing style. So let's get started with the analysis here. Let's go line by line and try to understand this article. This year, the shimming Academy Awards Oscars looked like it had hired Marie Kondo, right? So why this reference to Marie Kondo? Now, this is an interesting reference and one that you need to get. One that you need to clarify right at the start. Marie Kondo is a Japanese woman, and she's come up with the Marie Kondo way of organizing your home. Now, this way is based on basically the concept of minimalism, right? So very minimalistic way of living, and basically it talks about how you organize your home on the basis of categories rather than on the basis of rooms. So whenever you go to organize your home, right, you start organizing it one room at a time. So Marie Kondo says, instead of doing this, let's shift to category of things. So for example, you organize and you place all the books in one pile, all the books that you have, and then you get rid of the ones that you do not need, right? And you keep the minimal amount of stuff. And this is how you organize your home. This way you organize it and you get rid of all the extra stuff, and you have a minimalistic way of living, right? So that is what Marie Kondo says. Now here, the shimming Academy was the shining light. These are glitzy award functions, right? This is the most famous award function in the world. Now this year, in this particular year in 2021, that's the reference here, Academy Awards, they went for a very minimalistic approach because of coronavirus. They could not hold it the way that they normally did, and hence it became a pale representation in comparison to the previous Academy Awards. That's the reference here. The gags were gagged. So gags are jokes, right? So these gags were gagged here. The word gagged here refers to gags has a couple of meanings. So one of the meanings as a noun is jokes. And in general, when you gag someone, right, you place an order on someone not to say something, right? Or you block them, or you smother them, or you muffle them, right here. So the jokes were here muffled. The red carpet rolled up. So instead of rolled out, it's rolled up. So it was not rolled out, right? You did not have the red carpet welcome. Generally, that in itself is a feature of the awards where all the celebrities come one by one. They walk on the red carpet. So that wasn't done. And there's only that much shock and awe that you can fake to canned applause. So canned applause this is the kind of applause that you hear, right? You hear it often in comedy shows where they would play out this recorded laughter or recorded applause. So this is recorded sounds, right? So here in this case, this is recorded applause, right? So recorded applauses were played out. So this is for the television audience, right? So everything was edited, and hence it became kind of an artificial representation, right? So now the author gives you this backdrop of these Academy Awards, which were basically stifled by the coronavirus. So now why does she relate it with India? Let's see. But India did feature. Now, I am not referring to the in memoriam segment mentioning our departed stars. So generally, Oscars have an in memoriam segment where they mention all the stars across the world who've departed, right? So it's not the reference to Indian stars in this section of the show, right? What she's talking about is, what I want to show is that the Oscar-winning titles mirrored the way blockbuster pandemic is playing out in India, right? So the Oscar-winning films she's saying it's similar to the way the blockbuster pandemic, right? The blockbuster nature of the pandemic. That means the pandemic has been a hit in a negative way here. Here, the word blockbuster refers to films which are doing very well, right? So, which have become super successful. The pandemic has become successful according to the author, but in a negative way. So, this is a negative connotation here. Again, you have to identify the underlying sarcasm. One film creamed off the top best film, director and actress, which was this film which won these 3 awards. It's based on the non-fiction book Nomadland, Surviving America in the 21st Century. In the present script, our own survival looks bleak. There is a more specific connection. The houseless heroine of Nomadland wanders across the US after job losses. So this is where she starts connecting films with coronavirus. I'm writing it down as CV. Isn't there a parallel several thousand times over in a far worse plight of her migrants last year? So here she brings in, so like in the film Nomadland, the protagonist is wandering across the US after job losses. She connects our migrants, right? Their similar plight, and obviously it's thousands time overs, right? Thousands and lakhs of peoples were rendered jobless. Those hope-killed lines staggering across the subcontinent were a slap in the face of official posturing, right? So officials, they were posturing, they were giving these different stands and they were saying we are doing this and we are doing this to help people with the coronavirus. But she says that these lines that we saw all across the subcontinent, right? These were a slap in the face of these officials, showing the reality of the situation. Sadly, this year's fig leaf ripper is even more shaming. So what does the specific expression mean here? Remember, Bachi Karkaria uses a lot of these expressions that she creates herself, and these expressions are very they are pretty creative as well. And if you go by it, these help you really enrich your language. So what does fig leaf reaper here mean? Fig leaf is generally used figuratively to refer to cover-ups, right? So when you try to cover up something, right, you use the word fig leaf. This comes from the Bible. Supposedly Adam and Eve, to cover their nudity and to maintain their modesty, they used a fig leaf to cover their private parts, right? So that is the context it comes from. Secondly, the word ripper here. So when you rip someone of something, you forcibly take something from someone. So combining the two meanings here, right, of fig leaf and ripper, we can arrive at the meaning here that this is what is being done here to cover up things forcibly, right? So forcibly, people are forcing us, or the official versions of events, right? They are trying to cover up things. What is it that they are trying to cover up? The desperate crush at hospitals, the rows of burning pyres. So everything is a cover up according to the author. So this is the first connection, the first film. Now the second film, The Father didn't win all it hoped for, not even Best Actress in a supporting role for Olivia Colman. However, Best Actor did go to Anthony Hopkins, who played the father who lost his leaves because of dementia. So basically here referring to the fact that he lost his senses and now keeps blaming others. India has a towering father figure. The reference here is obvious and understandable. You can make an inference who is the author referring to as the father, but the surge now swamping us suggests that someone has lost the plot, and it is beleaguered populace that's losing its mind, unable to find drugs, oxygen, beds to save a parent, a child. So basically, in this particular case, the author is trying to say that how in the movie, right, the protagonist, he loses his mind and then starts blaming others for everything going wrong. In the similar case here, right, the author is referring to the fact that how we got the management wrong of coronavirus and how everything went wrong, and now we are looking to blame others. Or take the best documentary. Now we've got the third film here, My Octopus Teacher. Coronavirus has us in its tentacles, but clearly both netas and public are refusing to learn. So the coronavirus, as an octopus, it's like an octopus which has captured us with its tentacles, right? Its tentacles have dug deep into us, but our netas are refusing to learn. For promising young woman, my Oscar goes to Mahua Moitra, right? She has the best original parliamentary play we've seen in a long time. So she's referring to the fact that how Mahua Moitra has performed in the parliament, referring to her speeches and how she's been articulating her thoughts, how she's been amping up things. Remember, she says best original parliamentary play. So there is a subtle dig here as well, that she basically wants to say that the performance is great. It's not necessarily that that performance is being put into action. The Trial of Chicago 7 has parallels other than the pandemic. Now another movie that she picks up from the Oscars, and now she says we also need to go outside of the pandemic. So now she'll compare the film with something general happening in the country. How many examples can you count here of peaceful protesters being charged with conspiracy to cross state lines with seditious intention to incite riots, right? So now in this particular case, she also points out the fact that this particular film, The Trial of the Chicago 7, what does it refer to? It refers to the fact that in this film as well, similar to this film, we have peaceful protesters here who are charged with conspiracy theories, right? That these people are not actually protesting, but they are crossing state lines and they are trying to incite riots. Two significant differences. Chicago cops weren't obeying political masters. So unlike in India, where everything is political in nature, she's saying in the film it wasn't political in nature. Now in the film, The Trial of the Chicago 7, basically the story revolves around 7 men who basically protested and who participated in the protest at the 1968 Democratic National Convention, right? And this was they participated in the Vietnam War protests, and they crossed state lines and in order to protest, etc., etc. And then they were charged with that, right? Conspiracy to cross state lines. State lines refers to the border between two states in order to incite riots. So that was what the original story was. Now in this particular case, the author has here in this particular case, she's made a parallel with protests in India, right? And how they are also charged with these allegations are made that these protests are nothing else but conspiracies. Two significant differences. Chicago cops weren't obeying political masters, and we didn't have an openly biased Judge Julius Hoffman. Big mercy. So these are the differences from the film. The author is grateful for the fact that our judiciary is still fairly independent in nature, and this is kind of a relief. So overall, this is what the author does. She compares the first film here, the second film here in this particular case, then the third and the fourth film in this, and there's a fifth film here, which is used for comparisons in general with our society. So this is what the author does in this particular case. You can look at the extension of thought here, right? How in this particular case the author has moved from this seemingly innocuous topic of films which were awarded in the Oscars and correlated it with our society. So that's what this particular article is about. Now let's look at the quote right at the end. So generally, Alex Smart, this is just a quick play of words that Bachi Karkaria indulges in at the end of every article in order to just make a point, right? So here, Alex Smart said, Twitter censoring to stop flames from spreading or to create a smoke screen. So Twitter censoring, people being censored on Twitter and their accounts being blocked, etc., etc. Alex Smart is raising a question that is it to stop people from spreading hate, right? Or it is just to create an impression, right? It is just a smoke screen, right? To show that we are doing something, whereas actually it really does not do anything effective. Remember, smoke screen is basically, it refers to a military tactic, right? It's used by military, where smoke is created in order to conceal military operations. So from that context, it derives the meaning that a smoke screen is when you use something to disguise your actions. That's what a smoke screen is. So here, Twitter censorship, is it actually effective, or is it just a disguise to hide what is actually happening on the platform? So this completes this wonderful article. Hopefully so you've learned quite a few things from this article, and from this analysis you can understand this article a lot better. Thank you very much for watching this video. This completes the article analysis here, and as always, make sure you engage with the articles, research these articles, go look up terms, look up references. That is how you learn, that is how you improve, that is how you enhance your knowledge. Thank you very much for watching this video, and happy learning.